Hi, welcome to GMT FX Live. My name is Jefferson Arcos, and please take time to read that general advice disclaimer before you continue and take this information for your own sake. All right, this is me. I'm from Ecuador, South America. Moved to Australia in 1995. I live in Cairns, Queensland with my family. I have my wife and 3 kids, most of them growing up. I'm already a grandfather. And I have a passion for trading forex. And as we go into the presentation, I will explain all about it. So this is my home office. I've been for the last 10 years trading from here. Today I will be displaying one of my best strategies as a free gift to all my friends who follow me and maybe visitors that we have around the world. Okay, let's start this one. And my name in Australia is called the Trade Whisperer, and this is what's my name. All right, we have 6 trading systems, and today we will show you actually the weekly trading system, which is the candle close strategy, and this is actually for beginners. Then I have the daily trading system, which is more advanced and need technical analysis, and then in the 4 hours I have a system that I call the 3T or the SHEMS. And then I have the 1 hour system, which is the STEM, and then I have the 5 minutes, which is the sculpt system, which is very nice too. Weekly candle close strategy. We'll leave 20% at the bottom, 20% at the top and the bottom, sorry. It's 100% mechanical, no stress, no emotions. It's trading for dummies actually. It's a weekly candle close, will become the best seller system in the planet. Applicable for all markets, stock, indexes, commodities, currency, you name it. Whatever your broker provides you, you can trade everything. It works as a filter, and as well is only 1 hour a day system, and that is beautiful. And we will see today how that works. Why the candle close? The candle close is a special indicator. The open of the candle of any time frame is made by the beginners. The close is made by the professionals. The candle close gives the direction of the future price movement. The candle close will give you the setup for possible traders. The candle close combined with everything else that I teach in the 2 days workshop is powerful. The candle close is used by professional traders. There it is. So my simple rules are very straightforward. I'm not into reading Japanese candle. I don't like the Japanese name they put in different candles. I'm only interested in the high and the low of the candles. That's all I'm looking. Then the midpoint, which is the range between this high and low, I'm looking for the midpoint, and then I am interested on the close. I'm not much interested on the open. The open can happen everywhere. All right, I only look two things. The midpoint relate to the high and the low of the and the close. If the close is about the midpoint, the next week I will be looking to go long. If the close is below to the midpoint, the next week I will be looking to go short, and nothing more. Simple as that. So let's have a look with the examples there. So you can pause the video and review these testimonies I have of friends here in Australia. So I will not be reading, but everything is related of how much successful they are with this weekly strategy at the end of the day. All right. So let's get into what it is. So there it is. A weekly candle close about the midpoint of the range of the candle. So do you see that vertical line is exactly the same vertical line? This is the 4 hours time frame. This is the weekly time frame. So once I have, Monday morning, came back, sit in my computer, I find my first #1 strategy to say the weekly is about the midpoint of the range of the candle. Therefore, I'm looking in the small time frame as setup. And then the market breaks, and there it is, 470 pips. The weekly is below to the midpoint of the range of the candle. I'm waiting for the setup, 240. The weekly close about the midpoint of the range of the candle. Again, I'm waiting for the setup, 330. The weekly close below to the midpoint of the range of the candle. Wait for a setup, retracement, 350 pips. Weekly about the midpoint of the range of the candle. Again, the setup is really what it's all about. And 480 pips. The weekly candle close below to the midpoint of the range of the candle. There is the setup, and 280 pips. Weekly above the midpoint of the range of the candle, they set up 160 pips. Weekly below to the midpoint of the range of the candle, set up 95 pips. Weekly above, 140 pips. Weekly below, 690 pips. Total on the Euro US from the 10th of February 2013, until now, you would have ended up with 3,235 pips. Let's see, only we get 75% because actually the trend lines is the one they execute at entries and at exits, and 70% only the runs. You would have ended up with 2,264 pips total. Alright, so let's have a look now at the Pound Australia weekly, Pound Australia 4 hours. Below to the midpoint, and that is what it was running a few weeks ago. Above the midpoint, 740. Below to the midpoint, 120. Above to the midpoint, 400 pips. Above to the midpoint, 330 pips. Below to the midpoint, 600 pips. Above to the midpoint, 520. Below to the midpoint, 340. Below to the midpoint, and here it was no trade. Remember I said that this worked as a filter. So that is the filter here. So you were not in that trade, so that's good, isn't it? Above the midpoint of the range of the candle, 150 pips. Below to the midpoint of the range of the candle, here we have the first entry ended up in a loss, but the second entry at 1200 pips. The pound along with this around 6th of January, you would have done with this system 4,300 pips. 70% of that move is only 3,000 pips, still good enough. Now, what you see is a realistic back testing. Okay, it's nothing to do with you. I don't use any indicators whatsoever. This is a plain chart and only trend lines. Australia US, about the midpoint of the range of the candle, 330 pips. Below to the midpoint of the range of the candle, 110 pips. About the midpoint of the range of the candle, only 100 pips. Below to the midpoint of the range of the candle, 1200 pips. Below to the midpoint of the range of the candle, and here was a loss, minus 50. Below to the midpoint of the range of the candle, another loss, 2 weeks in a row, losing. About to the midpoint of the range of the candle, and then we have 220 pips. Australia alone would have done 1,880 pips. 70% of this move would have done 1,316 pips total. US Swiss about, and that is running that few weeks ago. Below to the midpoint of the range of the candle, that is the setup, 400 pips. Above the midpoint of the range of the candle, beautiful setup, 240 pips. Below to the midpoint of the range of the candle, 110 pips and come back. Below to the midpoint of the range of the candle, 300 pips and come back. Above the midpoint of the range of the candle, 400 pips, and that is running. Below, 540. Above the midpoint, 490. Above the midpoint, 160. Below to the midpoint, 90 pips. Above the midpoint of the range of the candle, 370 pips. The US Swiss, we would have done 3,175 pips. 70% of those move, 2,222 pips were achievable. The US yen, and even when the market is like that, we are still having good success with this strategy. Remember, the only thing you look is on Monday what happened last week, where the candle has closed relate to the midpoint of the range of the candle. Below to the midpoint, 250 pips. About to the midpoint, 180. About to the midpoint, didn't go much here, actually was in a loss position. Below to the midpoint of the range of the candle, and that was minus 40. About to the midpoint of the range of the candle, 360. Below to the midpoint of the range of the candle, 830. About the midpoint, 460. About the midpoint, 320. The yen alone would have done 2,400 pips from the break to the highs, 70% because trend lines took us in and out. 1,680 pips would be total achievable. Canadian, the same thing. This is going up, so we're looking only for longs. Here is below to the midpoint, 200 pips. About the midpoint, 210 pips. This one we're looking below to the midpoint. So here with that is no trade, even if you were to enter in that with a small loss. About the midpoint, 80 pips and possible get a stop out. Below to the midpoint, 150 pips. About the midpoint, minus 30 the first trade, and then it went 120 pips. Below to the midpoint, 210. About the midpoint at 310. Below to the midpoint, 150. About the midpoint, 150. Below to the midpoint, 190. About the midpoint, 300 pips. The US Canadian alone would have performed 2160 pips. 70% of those run 1512. So total, just following this simple strategies, the weekly candle close, you ended up with 12,000 pips in 9 months. Let's see, we take 2004 pips because of stop losses, because something happened through it. You did not get the top, you did not get the bottoms. So 10,000 pips in 9 months. And now I want to remind you that we only calculate this one entry per trend. All right, so one entry per trend, and that's all it is. So these 10,000 pips could be much higher. All right, so that's the end of my presentation. Thank you for your time. I hope so you enjoying what you see here. And if you need to, talk to us, don't hesitate and contact us. I wish you the best and hope to see you in my webinars and workshop. Cheers and bye.